Let's talk about China. There have been protests based on this, the I think the tinder, the powder keg that set it off was an apartment building where a bunch of people burned to death and they couldn't get out because of COVID restrictions. Apparently, they were locked in. I don't know the full details, but that's probably what happened. It's hard to know in China. Information is not necessarily freely available, but many people are upset, and it's sort of the powder keg that caused people to voice their frustrations with the ruling party, with how they're running the country, with COVID restrictions over the past 2 years that have been, quite honestly, way more draconian than what people in the United States have experienced. And maybe this allows, there's spillover resentment about just generally how China is run, right? It's a police state essentially, and I'm sure that there are a good number of people who are unhappy with that, and they're out there protesting. They're calling for Xi to step down. I don't believe any of them have been killed yet. No tanks have rolled over them, so that's nice for them. It's in multiple cities, so that would be difficult.
I think I did see video of tanks being mobilized, though. Did you see that?
Yeah, but they're on street corners and stuff. It's not tanks aren't that valuable in that situation. But I did hear that there have been more police crackdowns, and the protests have slowed down because the police state has stepped in. We both are not fans of China, even though we sarcastically say that sometimes we should just let China take over. We're just sort of succumbing to the black pill inevitability of it. It's not a sunny future that we're looking forward to. We are just we're against China, right? If
But we're
China
also
could be
saying that,
democratized, huh?
yeah, it might be the lesser of two evils. If our choice is between the woke taking over
Oh, I'm not
or
even
China,
saying that. I'm not even
yeah.
saying China's a lesser of two evils. It's the lesser of two evils in that they will crack down on the woke people and life will be very unpleasant for them. And that part will make me happy.
Yeah.
However, I'm under no illusion that life in general in America will be better if it was run like China, or the Chinese would make my life. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I'd be happy in the misery that the woke left would experience. But I have no doubt that I would also experience misery because that is what happens when you have a police state like China. And you don't have freedoms like freedom of speech. We will all lose. We will all suffer. And that's part of the reason why we fight against the woke left, because the woke left makes us weaker, makes us more susceptible to what? To forces like China. And I know it's hard to imagine some future where, well, oh, the U.S. we're so strong. There's no way we'd be taken over. I mean, history is a long timeline, so never say never. So back to the point. There have been widespread protests, way more than you've seen in the past, and there have been crackdowns. So you're seeing less of them, but who knows? Maybe they will pop up with some more ferocity again. I personally don't think it's going to lead to anything substantial. That's no criticism of the people protesting. I think it's great for them to stick their necks out. You have to understand, unlike American protesters, these people are risking a lot to voice their opinion. The state can do quite a lot to you in China, and make no mistake, they will know who you are. You cannot do this anonymously. They have, cameras everywhere. They observe every corner of the internet. You will be found out. And the only thing that could possibly, hopefully, make you safe is if there's just a large number of protesters, and it will be inconvenient for the CCP to do something bad to that number of people. So I wish them luck. We stand in solidarity with them. I hate to say stuff like that because what are we doing? We're not actually doing anything, but I empathize with them, right? Like, I'm not going to go stand on the street corner and say something or hold a sign because that doesn't help them at all. That's BS. But I empathize with them, and I hope they're not killed by the CCP. That's really the only thing that I hope, because I don't have high hopes that they'll change. Xi is not going to step down. You're not going to see the headline of him stepping down next year. I assure you of that. You'll see Kanye West in a full Nazi uniform before you see Xi Jinping step down. Okay? And I know both of those futures are hard to imagine. Maybe not after today. It's hard to imagine, but
Right.
it's hard to imagine probably, but certainly Xi is not stepping down. You will have to kill him, or it will have to be an internal struggle with another faction of the CCP. But if he's deposed by another faction of the CCP, who cares? Does that really help anything? I would argue no. How about you?
Um, yeah, I don't have much to add on the China president. I was wondering if you want to talk about the Taiwan elections at all.
Oh no, I don't know anything about the Taiwan elections. I know that the president stepped down from the party, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
correct? But
yeah.
doesn't that mean the president either cannot run again or needs to run in a different party?
I don't know. The way I heard was that she stepped down as party leader. Maybe she's still, still
Oh,
in the
it could
party.
be just it could just be procedural stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm really not close to it. You would know a
Okay.
lot more. You watch Chinese news, don't
No, no,
you?
I don't. I can't. No, I can't understand it, any of
Neither
it.
of us watch Chinese news, so we really can't talk about this. But
No, but
it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter to me. It doesn't even matter. Well, it does matter. It does matter because how the Taiwanese president behaves in relation to China makes a difference. Like if that president is beating the drum for independence and
hmm
being confrontational, that I'm not even saying that's good or bad, but I will say that matters. That's different than a Taiwanese president who just keeps their head down and doesn't try to upset China. So you have two ways of going about this, and that probably does make a difference. Which way is better? That's such a hard question to answer. I don't know. I don't know. Ultimately, here's the thing. For those who don't know, it's just a very quick background. Taiwan is not technically independent from China after the Civil War in the middle of the 20th century. All the non-communists ran to Taiwan, and they've been living there, operating pretty much as an independent country. But China has always said, no, you guys are just the rebels, and you're still part of China. We just haven't bothered to actually physically go over there and take you over. And this has created some tension between U.S.-China relations, and even today, even though the United States recognizes one China policy, meaning that Taiwan is part of China, we technically do say that. But we also, out of the other side of our mouths, do business with Taiwan, go there and support them, like Pelosi went there recently. And a lot of this upsets China, and they say, they fly jets over, Taiwan, and they make a show of force, but they haven't actually invaded yet because I would have to imagine it probably is not worth it for them, more of a cost than a benefit. But that is the situation geopolitically that we exist in right now. And it's always a question of what will China do to Taiwan and when? And my family being from Taiwan, I would prefer, that the status quo is fine for me. The status quo is that everybody recognizes China as the rightful rulers of everybody in Taiwan. It's China. But they're allowed to just operate as an independent country, and everyone just kind of doesn't talk about it, looks the other way for the most part. That's fine.
hmm
That's fine. There are people who are very invested in solidifying this notion that Taiwan is an independent country. They're willing to
You're
escalate. They're willing to escalate the matter, but I don't see how that benefits when China is clearly a much more powerful country. I think that preserving the status quo is in the best interest of the actual people in Taiwan. I don't know that whether being a blustery president or being a meek president is better at preserving the status quo. I don't
mhm.
I don't know. But I do think that preserving the status quo is what's best.
Right. It just seems like this is getting harder and harder to do, as China starts posturing. The more
It
powerful they
is.
get.
It
Yeah.
is, and a lot of it is out of Taiwan's control anyway. Really, the reason why, perhaps the main reason why China hasn't already invaded Taiwan is just U.S. power. The
Mhm.
United States may not allow them, and we still have the most powerful fleet in the Pacific. It will not remain that way forever. But we currently have the most powerful fleet in the Pacific. Our seventh fleet is parked right over there, and China cannot invade if the seventh fleet intervenes. If they do nothing, then sure, China can, but China can't be sure what the United States will do. And that's a big question mark. If China was certain that either the United States would not intervene or that it was not powerful enough to intervene, if China was sure of either things, then that removes a big impediment to them taking Taiwan. Even in
Does
that
your
case, would they choose to? I don't know. I don't run China, and I don't know the cost benefit analysis.
But I think it's interesting. Like the Taiwan election is interesting for a few reasons. Like number one, the previous election, I think they basically have, they call it like the Green Party and the Blue Party, right? And the Blue Party is the KMT.
Hmm.
I can't remember what the Green Party is called, but basically the Green Party is sort of more pro Taiwan independence, and they won the previous election, right? And the president is in the Green Party,
Hmm.
and then this election is, I mean, if you look at the map, it looks kind of like a blue wave happened, and there are a lot of parallels between the situation. I mean, yeah, there's just parallels to be drawn everywhere from Taiwan and compared to the U.S. or Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. But one of them, the one that one of them that I thought was interesting is that supposedly the media, the quote mainstream media over in Taiwan, is just like the mainstream media here. They are, supporting the Green Party, and I guess so. If you're not looking for independent, media sources, then you would most likely vote Green. But what's interesting, in their midterm elections, it just happened whatever a week ago or so. The Blue Party pretty much took over, and the main reason that I've been told that people are voting blue is basically young people don't want to fight in a war.
Hmm.
It's basically that simple. Like if war breaks out, politicians aren't the ones that are going to have their asses on the line. And the young people realize that, and they're just like, okay, we don't want to put our necks on the line for this. But there's another interesting reason why somebody might have voted blue, which is that they're upset at what happened with TSMC. Basically, you probably know there's like a TSMC fab that's going to be opening in Arizona. I don't know the details of this, but I think it's actually gonna be using, some of the latest technology. And a lot of families actually got, or TSM employees and their families actually got shipped basically to Arizona to operate this fab. But a lot of citizens in Taiwan are extremely upset at this because they view TSMC as being one of the reasons why it's like a protection for them against China, basically. And now if Taiwan's going to be exporting their latest and greatest technology into the U.S., then that reason is gone, basically. And the Green Party was in power when this happened, so people blame the Green Party for allowing basically the U.S. to finagle this technology from Taiwan. It's good for the U.S., I guess, but I don't see how you could say this is good for Taiwan. I mean, of course, they would argue that this was what was necessary in order to maintain the U.S. as an ally, but we're basically just blackmailing them, is what it seems like.
A war would not turn out well for Taiwan, and I don't think the U.S. would step in. It's not.
I
It's
mean,
not. It's not. It's. We're not getting in a fight with China over Taiwan.
I mean, it's a very concrete consideration. It's no longer this abstract, are you for or against war? It's like, do you want to fight in this war? It's kind of the impression I
Yeah.
got, and people are just like, nope, nope, no, we
So as
don't.
much as they can just maintain the status quo, that would be best for them.
Yeah.
How long it can be maintained, I don't know. I would just say that if you're in Taiwan, you should work on trying to emigrate to another country, just like the people of Hong Kong should
Oh,
have.
that's sad.
All right, but they had advance warning though. But this is kind of your advance warning. You should try to get your kids out of Taiwan.
That'll be sad. I mean, maybe the Blue Party being in power will change some of this. I think they're more,
I think it's
they're more
better to
for,
be conciliatory towards China,
yeah,
just to
yeah.
just to placate them for as long as you can. But there is some point in the future where China is just so certain that the US won't intervene or is not capable of intervening, where China will just take it back. I think that there is a future point, no matter
Hmm.
how much you placate them. And so the only thing you can do as a person is just move your family out, prepare, right?